Somewhere in the last 18 months, dozens of AI companies built on solving real problems quietly discovered that the problems they were solving were shrinking faster than their bank accounts. Not because they failed. Not because they made bad bets. But because the infrastructure they built to compensate for AI's limitations kept becoming unnecessary. And that is a very different kind of company-ending scenario than the one most founders plan for. Today we are walking through exactly what happened, who survived, and what the wreckage tells us about the economics of building during a capability surge. Let's go back to 2022. Early large language models were genuinely impressive and genuinely broken for production use. GPT-3 and its contemporaries hallucinated constantly, couldn't touch your private databases, and were locked inside context windows of around 4,000 tokens. That is roughly the length of a long blog post. If you wanted to build something real on top of these models, you needed plumbing. A lot of it. So the scaffolding layer was born. Vector databases like Pinecone and Weaviate. Orchestration platforms like LangChain. Data pipeline companies. Prompt management tools. The funding was real. Pinecone raised a $100 million Series B in April 2023 at a $750 million valuation. LangChain pulled a $25 million Series A led by... This infrastructure layer looked like the connective tissue of the entire AI industry. The clearest case study is LlamaIndex. Founded in 2022, it built its reputation solving one specific and urgent problem, making models work reliably with proprietary enterprise data. Its tools for indexing, chunking, and retrieving context became essential infrastructure for anyone building serious AI applications. By March 2025, the company had raised $27.5 million in total funding. But by the time that Series A closed, the announcement told a different story. LlamaIndex wasn't a RAG toolkit anymore. It was launching LlamaCloud, a commercial knowledge management platform for agent workflows. The original problem had gotten easier. The company had to climb to harder ground. Here's what changed underneath them. Context windows exploded. GPT-4 Turbo and Claude 3 shipped with windows large enough to hold entire codebases or book-length documents. And a 2024 study found that long context models consistently outperformed RAG architectures when sufficient compute was available. Now, RAG remained more cost-efficient for most enterprise workloads, but that's the point. When the argument for your product shifts from there is no other option to it depends, you are in a fundamentally different competitive position. The category didn't die. But the gravity changed. Before I go further, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now. Do you think vector databases survive the next 2 years, or does the context window just eat that whole category? Genuinely curious where people land on this. So what actually survives? This is where the analysis gets interesting, because not everything is collapsing. LangChain hit a valuation of $1.25 billion in October 2025. Crew AI raised an $18 million Series A and accumulated 2 billion agent executions. Drant raised $50 million in early 2026 while people were writing the category's obituary. The distinction that separates the survivors from the casualties is precise. Middleware that compensates for model limitations is temporary. Middleware that handles genuine system complexity is durable. Model limitations go away. But production complexity doesn't. Production AI systems need observability regardless of how capable the underlying model gets. They need version control, testing infrastructure, rollback capability, audit trails for compliance. None of that disappears because the model gets smarter. There's also the permanent arithmetic problem of cost. Even if a future model can ingest a 5 million token knowledge base in a single prompt perfectly, doing that for every single user query remains orders of magnitude more expensive than targeted retrieval. Compute is not free. That math doesn't change. And then there's a driver that almost nobody talks about: data governance. An enterprise operating under HIPAA or GDPR often cannot send its document corpus to a third-party API regardless of how large the context window gets. On-premises retrieval and hybrid architectures aren't architectural preferences in those environments. They are legal requirements. That's a durable moat that has nothing to do with model capability. Now, the active investment cycle has shifted to agent orchestration, Crew AI, LangGraph, AutoGen, the OpenAI Agents SDK. And the same question applies. Some of what agent orchestration does today is solving for model limitations that will eventually disappear, managing coordination between agents that struggle to communicate coherently, compensating for models' limited ability to maintain state across complex multi-step tasks. As frontier models improve, some of those primitives become unnecessary overhead. But some of it is genuinely durable. Multi-agent systems in production need deterministic control flow for high-stakes decisions. They need human-in-the-loop checkpoints that no level of model improvement makes redundant. They need observability that becomes more important as systems grow more autonomous, not less. The scaffolding that survives is the scaffolding that would still be necessary even if the models were perfect. Second question for the comments, and this one I really want you to think about. Which AI infrastructure company do you think is most at risk of being absorbed by the model providers themselves in the next 12 months? Name names. Let's actually debate this. Here's the takeaway. The story of AI's scaffolding layer is not a story of bad bets or poor execution. Most of this infrastructure was correctly timed to real problems. What was miscalculated was the permanence of those problems. Llama Index moved up the stack before its original market was gone. LangChain evolved from an orchestration framework into a production agent platform. The ones that survived recognized what they were actually building, temporary bridges, and started building the destination before the bridge became unnecessary. The scaffolding is not finished falling. Some middleware that looks essential today is solving problems the next generation of models will make trivial. The skill, for builders and buyers alike, is learning to tell the difference before the bill comes due. If you want this level of analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, completely free, I go 1,000 words deep in Overfitted. No hype, no fluff, just reality checks on what's actually happening in AI. Link is in the description. It takes 30 seconds to subscribe and it will change how you read AI news. If this video made you think differently about AI infrastructure, hit like and share it with someone who's either building in this space or betting on it. They need to hear this. Subscribe if you're new, because this is the kind of thing we do here every week. And here's what I want to leave you with. If the models keep getting smarter and absorbing more of the stack, is there a version of AI infrastructure that's actually safe to build on, or is every layer just a bridge waiting to become unnecessary?